You have siblings, right? How many siblings do you have?
I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. I'm the eldest of 4.
Ooh, I'm the youngest. Do you think that being the youngest or the oldest impacts personality?
I think a little bit. I think a lot of times what I've noticed is the oldest usually stays younger longer, so they're slower to figure out things and slower to grow up. I think I've noticed, but like the youngest is kind of forced into this model that's already kind of been set. There's actually a really good movie everyone should watch. It's an Irish movie, and they sing. Oh, I can't remember the name.
Sing Street?
Yes, Sing Street. Thank you, Raquel. Sing Street. Yeah,
I love Sing Street.
it's an amazing
I love
movie.
that movie.
That's
That's
why
why
I
I
can
can do an
end.
Irish accent.
There you go. The ending is like a really like for
Beautiful,
me it
like,
always hits
brother
home.
story.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
brother story. And like
Yeah.
he goes through and like explains like the oldest brother is like on the boat and he plows the waves for the younger brothers, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah,
So I
there's
think
there's
that I cry every time at the end of that movie, like ball my eyes out.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
But I also really agree where, like, first of all, go watch Sing Street. I love that movie.
Very good movie.
But second of all, yeah, I think the eldest sibling always has to trailblaze. First of all, he gets the worst iteration of the parents, in my opinion, to a certain degree. Of parents, people learn as they experience, right? And they figure stuff out a little bit better. So, like, consistently, you'll see oldest siblings going like, I didn't get that luxury when I was younger, right? And I didn't get that.
For me
So
though
there's definitely-
specifically, it's like I was the first, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so I got like a lot more attention. So like I was held
Mhm.
longer, and I was doted on longer, and I was the first. So my aunt, has a special place because I was her first baby and all this. So there is a little bit of that as well. So I think it's a little bit of both. But I can see where you're coming from as well. It's like you look
Well,
back and I couldn't go to someone's house until I was in like 8th grade, something like that, because my mom was just all worried about it. But now like my sister, as like a 14-year-old, was like going to all these or like less than that, I mean, was
Yeah.
doing all this stuff that I
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there is that. But I think that
Yeah.
I think that there's also like it's also kind of a good thing. I don't know, it depends. I think it's a mixed bag, which is what Pace says all the time, which I'm starting to say. It's funny you pick
Yeah.
up lingo. Mixed bag.
Yeah. You also, what is it? I say dope a lot,
Oh yeah.
and I say,
Dig. You dig it?
yeah, I
You
dig
don't
stuff.
say
Yeah.
you don't say it a lot. You said it a lot when we first met, but I don't think you really say much anymore. Anyway,
Yeah, but no, I agree. I agree that's a mixed bag, like what you were saying, where there's definitely a degree of like, there's benefits and deficits being any child. I think if you had to objectively look at it, I think the youngest child has the most advantages, and I think the middle child gets it the worst to a certain degree because they're stuck in this weird, like, I don't know. I think middle childs always have like a very like rough experience with their family to a certain degree. I think they're always like at a little bit of a disadvantage because they're not the baby and they weren't around initially and they didn't get like all of the trailblazing, but then they had the least time at being the youngest, and it's very interesting. But
yeah, I agree.
I would what's the magic number of kids? Like how many kids is like the magic? Do you like being one of 4, or do you think that less or more would be better?
So I think it depends on the family structure, but we were always really tight. We weren't like, we didn't have tons of money. So like at one point, all 4 of us were in one room on bunk
Mhm.
beds. And I think that I liked that. I think the only problem with raising in such like a big house like that, first of all, you get used to like being with people all the time. And I do consider myself like an introvert, but being around people like that my entire life has made me to where like if I'm ever like by myself, even as like an adult, if I'm ever home alone, I get like really freaked out, Like I definitely long to be close to people a lot, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's just my experience in a big family. I think that you definitely should not have single children though. That's my personal opinion.
Really?
Everyone
Go ahead. I disagree. So
Okay.
I think that I agree in the fact that I think it's harder to have a single child. But that being said, you don't have to raise a single child like you would raise a family. So I see families, if you have like a single child and you're isolating your family a little bit, it's going to be really hard for them. But if you are consistently having close friends and family friends, and you have like people like siblings, like something like a brotherhood or like having a sister or something in that nature, that feeling doesn't have to be tied to blood. It helps when it is, but you can have close friends that you feel very close to that fill the same role. I mean, I actually had issues with having close friends because I was so close to my brothers. But
That's true. And that's a good point to make, because it's like family for us, especially my household, was always first. And so, and I still stand by that. But I think I think there's good things like that, but there's also like friend making skills are kind of lacky because you're like, I
Right.
always got my homies, my
Yeah.
brothers and my sister,
Yeah.
so I don't necessarily need to go out and find all these people. But when you move away, you're kind of on your own. We've talked about that, how I grew up with such a small class and I never really knew how to make
Mhm.
friends. But I think that's so I got kind of hit in both aspects of that. Small
Right.
class, also big family, so it's kind of,
Mhm.
but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I also grew up with not a lot of money, so we did a lot of sharing. One of my songs, I have a lyric where it's like, I never had a bed I called mine, so I often slept on the floor. I don't want people interpreting that as I didn't have a bed like available my entire childhood. It was more like we would like bebop around from room to room. We didn't have like clear. It was like a 3 bedroom house, and like the kids kind of had one room, and we had bunk beds for a while. But then we wouldn't have like designated beds, and it was very weird. And then my parents got divorced, which made it all complicated. But a lot of the times we would like one of my favorite memories is like when we were kids. Beside my eldest brother was really really crucial in kind of taking care of us, especially when I was younger. He was great. I feel very close to him, and both my brothers actually. But we would do this thing he called powwows, and we just take like as many blankets as we could. There was this big hamper full of blankets, and we'd grab them all and we'd throw them on the floor in the living room. We had this one TV that was like a VHS player and TV, and we'd put in like a movie like Little Giants or like That Darn Cat or any of the VHS Disney movies.
Yeah.
And we'd like be in this like big ball of blankets and pillows, and we'd sleep there, and it would be amazing. And with VHSs, whenever it would run out, it would rewind at the end, and then the screen would just stay blue. It wouldn't start playing again. So you'd wake up in the middle of the night to the blue screen, and you'd have to turn it off because we fell asleep to it.